data stakeholders ignoring you? Are they paying you lip service and not helping? Maybe if you could give them a 10% revenue boost in 2021, they might take you a little bit more seriously. Let's look at how.
So let's take a look at how you can go and help your organisation do something different. In the first situation here, we've got this classic situation where the data customers are dissatisfied by the information at hand, their expectations are unfulfilled. And so most organisations embark upon a defensive data strategy where it's problem-led data innovation to overcome regulations, to ensure various compliance, and to make sure that data is of reasonable quality. Now, these tasks and activities are essential, but they only ever get you a satisfied customer. They never delight those people who are business stakeholders. And as a result, you don't really get their full backing and attention as you might do if you start to adopt a more offensive approach to data. So here we're looking to increase customer delight, give them those wow moments. And we're going to use offense and an opportunity-led data innovation to actually go and find things that the business cares about, find ways to grow the business using data, and what we call this is an ambidextrous data strategy. Let's take a look a bit more.
So now let's look at how decision intelligence can be applied to try and find areas where you can go and act offensively in terms of your data strategy.
So let's have a look at some outcomes here. What are the things the business might care about? Well, number one, we said they want to increase revenue. But sometimes outcomes conflict with one another, and there are many different outcomes a business needs to achieve, such as maintaining their green targets for environmental reasons, and potentially maintaining profit margins. So being a bit more specific here, we've got our measurable goals, and what you'll see is we say, okay, we want a 10% revenue increase by December 2021. We can actually measure that and see whether we achieve it. We want to reduce carbon emissions by 3% in 2021, so we're going to keep that. And we want the profit margin to remain at least 7%. All these things you can actually track and use data to prove whether you got it right or you got it wrong. So here's where the fun begins, and we can go and talk to the business to start to think about how can we enable this to happen and what might they want to do to deliver against those goals. And you might go and find an example like sell data to create new revenue streams. Maybe they want to raise marketing spend on millennials because they think COVID-19's changed the way people are buying, and especially that demographic. Or maybe they're going to use AI to increase cross-selling across different groups who are buying these solutions. All these kinds of actions that might be available to your business are decision points that they need to make, and they want to see how those decision points ripple through the outcomes into those goals, and they'll need data to support that. Now, don't forget to model in some external factors that can influence these decisions as well, which we've all seen this year. Things like COVID-19, a macroeconomic recovery that we're all hoping will happen in 2021, or even post-COVID buying pattern changes. All of these types of externals are outside of your control, but they still need to be factored into any decision that's made, and as much data can be captured about these things as possible. Now here's an example of a fully wired up model where we've looked to link the levers through to the outcomes and out to the measurable goals with some negative feedback loops marked in here too. The exact details of this don't really matter, but in the discussions you have with your business, you'll start to uncover areas where there's more uncertainty and where potentially modelling this information using the data you're providing is going to add more value, and therefore that's the data you need to make sure is up to scratch and top quality. So there we have it. Very quick tour of decision intelligence and how you can use that to find the decision levers you push or pull in 2021 to drive up those revenue targets, but whilst also bearing in mind all of the other obligations that your senior management have to their stakeholder community and the shareholders at large. If you'd like to know more about this, do get in touch. We are running these sessions for a whole host of people right now. We run them internally as well, and we think it's a great way to get the decision-making process modelled out on a piece of paper and share that with the data team so that everybody knows what information they need, what fit for purpose means in terms of the data for the decisions, and then they can go and prioritise those tasks and activities to get you that 10% revenue boost that you need next year. Cheers.